This is the Sterling Heights assembly plant where they have dozens upon dozens of highly priced pickups sitting unshipped and unsold.
Something strange is happening in America's car market. Rows and rows of shiny new vehicles sit untouched, collecting dust, forgotten. $847 billion worth of unsold cars are stuck in a deadly freeze. Dealerships are crumbling. Sales have vanished. The streets are silent. The showrooms empty. This isn't just a slow season. It's the biggest collapse the industry has ever seen. What used to be the heart of American business is now gasping for air. The car market is not just broken, it's buried alive. And the numbers? They're terrifying. This is not a slowdown. This is the beginning of the end. Inside America dying car dealership. The dealership lot appears impressive at first. Shiny cars are lined up neatly in rows under the Arizona sun, their hoods and paint shining, and windows clean. However, behind this polished appearance is a troubling reality that is affecting the automotive industry. In reality, this lot is no longer a place of business, but rather a graveyard. Car dealerships all over the United States are in trouble. It's not just a small problem or a slight decrease in sales, it's a complete catastrophe. The statistics paint a grim picture. There are over $847 billion worth of cars sitting unsold on dealership lots. This isn't just a large amount. It's almost impossible to comprehend. It's more than the entire economy of many countries. It's sufficient to purchase every house in the state of Texas. And all of this value is tied up in products that no one appears interested in buying anymore. Car dealerships are recommended to have enough inventory for about 2 months, which is seen as a good amount. Having inventory for 3 months is a cause for concern. However, currently, the average dealership has enough unsold cars to last for 340 days, which is almost a year. This is a heavy burden both financially and mentally. Mike Rodriguez is the owner of a Chevrolet dealership in Phoenix, Arizona. His business used to be successful, but now it feels like a slow-moving disaster. He has to pay $127,000 every month to finance the inventory, which comes out to $4,200 per day regardless of how many cars he sells. Recently, sales have significantly decreased. While he used to sell 240 cars monthly, last month he only sold 18. Despite the drop in sales, his fixed expenses remain the same at $156,000 for overhead costs. The numbers no longer add up, and it feels impossible to turn a profit. It's like running a race with heavy weights dragging you down. However, the main issue is not only the lack of sales for cars. The concerning issue is the deteriorating condition of these cars as they are left idle, ignored, and decaying. These are not old models from the past. They are recently made 2023 and 2024 cars. They are supposed to be highly sought-after items, yet they are now being referred to as toxic assets. Before customers come in at 6 o'clock a.m., the parking lot is quiet. The cars are still and look more like decorations than things for sale. Mike shows a bright yellow sports car that cost him $89,000. It has been sitting in the lot for 2,067 days without being sold. He would be willing to sell it for $55,000 today if anyone was interested, but no one has shown interest in months. The Corvette represents a larger issue. It is considered a luxury item, but in today's economy, where many families are facing challenges in affording basic necessities like food and fuel, it seems disconnected. The car requires expensive premium gasoline and only gets 12 miles per gallon. While it may have been a coveted dream car in the past, now it is seen as a financial burden. The situation becomes even more serious when cars are left unused for a long time. This is because time can cause damage to idle machines. Batteries can lose charge, tires can lose air, paint can fade from the sun, rubber seals can dry out, and gas can become stale. All of these issues make it difficult to sell each vehicle, even if someone eventually decides they want to buy it. Mike has a 2024 Tahoe parked at the back of the parking lot. It used to be worth $78,000, but now it doesn't work because the battery is dead. It would cost $340 to replace the battery, but he doesn't see the point in spending that money on a car he can't sell. The Tahoe is just sitting there like a big metal paperweight. It is costing him $67 a day to keep it on the lot. Every car dealer is currently facing a difficult situation. The high-end cars are expensive to maintain and repair, yet they are not in demand. These cars depreciate in value while sitting on the lot. Dealers are unable to afford the necessary repairs to sell them. As a result, the value of the cars decreases even more, while the costs continue to rise. It feels like being stuck in quicksand without any way out. The numbers and financial stress are not the worst part, but rather the sense of helplessness. These dealerships used to be thriving businesses that contributed to their communities, provided jobs for locals, and represented success. Now let's look into the focus of making profit during these car dealerships. Why America car lots are turning into used truck markets. 3 months ago, Mike made a decision that most people in the car industry would consider very surprising. He started selling off his vehicles at extremely low prices, even though he was losing a lot of money on each sale, just to keep his business afloat. He wasn't focused on making a profit anymore. He was just trying to stay in business. Mike is a car salesman who sells Chevrolets. He had one deal that he still regrets. He sold a brand new Silverado, which was priced at $65,000 for only $32,000. The math showed that he lost $18,000 on that sale after factoring in what he had paid for the truck, storage, and interest fees. However, Mike felt that stopping the daily loss was better than continuously losing money by keeping the truck on the lot. His strategy may be difficult, but it demonstrates the extent of the struggle faced by dealers. Discounting cars by almost 50% is not a strategic move, but rather a desperate attempt. The aim is not to attract new customers or increase market share, but rather to obtain cash flow by any means necessary. People like Mike are struggling to repay their loans, cover payroll, and keep their business afloat. However, Mike's story is just the start. In Dallas, Tom Patterson faces a crisis with his family-owned Ford dealership. The showroom, once a cause of pride and tradition, is now changing in a disturbing way. Instead of new F-150s under bright lights, old dusty trucks from 10 years ago are now on display. Tom noticed that new cars aren't selling well, but he's able to make a profit selling older trucks that have been driven a lot. This realization has completely given him a new perspective. Instead of being interested in the latest features or technology, people now prioritize reliability and affordability. Tom no longer buys new vehicles. He is now looking for old ones, particularly trucks from 2015 or 2013 with long histories and high mileage. The reason for this change is customer demand. Many customers are specifically seeking out older trucks with over 100,000 miles on them when they visit his dealership. These buyers prefer vehicles that have proven to be reliable over time and are wary of the complexities and potential expenses associated with modern cars, such as complicated electronics and expensive repairs. Tom provided an easy-to-understand illustration. He bought a pre-owned F-150 with 120 miles for $18,000 and sold it for $34,000, making a profit. On the other hand, Buying a new F-150 for $52,000 meant having to sell it for $48,000 just to break even, resulting in a loss. This shift in the car market has caused car dealers to switch from focusing on new vehicles to selling used cars in order to survive. However, despite the difficult situation at the dealership, there is something more troubling happening secretly. The manufacturers themselves are giving up. Recently, General Motors made a surprising proposal to Tom. They offered to repurchase all of his unsold new trucks for only 60 cents on the dollar. Tom examined the figures. General Motors offered him $2.88 million for inventory he originally paid $4.7 million for. The deal seemed unfavorable, as he would be experiencing a loss of almost $2 million. Despite this, Tom is considering the offer because keeping the unsellable inventory is resulting in even greater losses each day. In the past, manufacturers and dealers worked closely together as partners because they relied on each other. However, nowadays even the car companies are distancing themselves. They are aware that the vehicles are not selling and there is no demand. Could this be the reason for the local businesses in Broken Bow, Nebraska town? Let's find out. When the engines stop. In many small towns in the United States, there is a troubling trend happening. It starts off quietly, like a gradual darkness spreading. Before anyone can grasp the situation, the soul of the town starts to diminish. This is currently happening in Broken Bow, Nebraska, a town with a population of 3,400, where everyone is familiar with each other. Families have been living for generations, and local businesses have always been essential. Morrison Motors, a longtime establishment in the town, has closed down after 67 years. Morrison Motors was more than just a place to buy cars. It was the main cause of employment in the town, with 47 people working there. These employees and their families relied on the dealership for their income. Additionally, the dealership was actively involved in supporting the community. It sponsored the local high school football team, contributed to fundraisers, and provided space for town meetings in its showroom. Morrison Motors was a hub for sharing ideas, celebrating events, and fostering a sense of belonging among residents. Mayor Linda Chen was inside the building that was now empty, and she observed what it used to be. It's not just a business shutting down, but a part of the town vanishing. She mentioned how this dealership affected almost every aspect of life in Broken Bow. The closure of Morrison Motors had a big impact on the entire community. And it did not just end with those 47 jobs being lost. Many other jobs were also impacted indirectly. Suppliers who provided items to the dealership lost a major customer. Delivery drivers had less work due to fewer routes. Service contractors who maintained equipment for Morrison Motors lost a steady cause of income. Even the local bank suffered as they had been financing car purchases from the dealership. Additionally, the coffee shop across the street, which relied on Morrison's staff and customers, had to shut down. Overall, over 2,000 jobs were affected, which is significant for a town with only 3,400 residents. The heartbreak extends beyond just looking at the numbers. Morrison Motors held a special place in the memories of families in Broken Bow. It was where many people bought their first cars, got their first jobs as teenagers, and formed lasting friendships. One longtime resident, Robert Park, recounted how his grandfather bought his first truck at Morrison Motors in 1958. His father would return every few years to buy a new vehicle, and Robert himself bought his first car there when he was just 16. Now, his son will have to travel 2,000 miles to buy a car. The convenience, trust, and warmth that the local dealership offered are now just memories. The issue is not only in Broken Bow, but also in many rural areas that have experienced the decline of agriculture and factories, leading to the closure of their few remaining businesses. The closing of car dealerships has resulted in the creation of transportation deserts, where people have no access to buy a new car, get warranty repairs, or find auto parts. This lack of access to reliable transportation is more than just inconvenient for rural Americans, it is a safety concern. Some individuals are unable to travel long distances for car services, while others cannot afford to take time off work to drive hours for basic car necessities. Now, it's not only happening in small towns. Even in big cities like Phoenix, with a population of about 5 million people, this trend is getting more common. Within just 18 months, 23 car dealerships have shut down for good. These were not small businesses either. They were big companies located in prime areas that catered to thousands of customers annually. If a city as large as Phoenix is experiencing this many dealership closures, it indicates a serious issue. Luxury car dealerships that were once seen as safe from money troubles are closing down. Brands such as BMW, Mercedes, and Audi are vanishing from urban areas. While these companies have faced challenges in the past, their usual customers are not buying new vehicles anymore. When even luxury brands are having difficulties, it indicates that the issue is impacting a wide range of people, not just a specific group. This series of dealership closures is more than just a small obstacle. It's not a temporary issue that will resolve itself soon. Experts are describing it as a total overhaul of the car sales industry in America. This means the process of buying cars, getting them repaired, and dealing with dealerships is undergoing a permanent change. The personal and community-focused experience that once existed is disappearing. Now, people are facing longer trips, limited choices, and the disappearance of another aspect of the towns they cherish. The saddest thing is how quickly everything is changing. One day, a car dealership is in business. What could be the way forward? Join us as we dive more into this story. The new road ahead. The car dealership industry in America is experiencing a significant transformation. This change is not minor, but rather substantial, profound, and long-lasting. For more than a century, Americans have been accustomed to a specific method of purchasing, funding, and maintaining their vehicles. This traditional way is now fading away. The established system is collapsing, and the future will bring a completely new approach. At the heart of this decline is a significant percentage, 45%. This means that almost half of all car dealerships in the country are shutting down. More than 8,000 retail stores have closed. These were not just places that sold cars. They were vibrant hubs of activity. Each dealership provided employment opportunities for many people. More than 400,000 Americans relied on these businesses for their livelihood. Families, neighborhoods, and entire cities were built around them. But now, they have disappeared. They will not return. It may seem tough, but it is the reality. The environment in which these dealerships thrived no longer exists. Things have evolved, and so has the market. The era of large car showrooms filled with numerous gleaming vehicles has ended. The future model will be efficient, intelligent, and totally distinct. Car dealerships that manage to stay in business will no longer be focusing on selling a lot of new cars. They will shift their attention to selling used cars and providing vehicle maintenance services. These dealerships will be smaller in size and more cautious in their operations. Instead of having hundreds of cars on their lot, they will only have around 20 or 30, each carefully selected. This is more than just a change in business strategy. It's a shift in mindset among people. American consumers have changed the way they think. There used to be a time when people thought it was necessary to get a new car every few years. That belief is fading away. Now, people prefer older vehicles, cars they can rely on. cars that have shown to be dependable over time. Having something new doesn't always equate to being better anymore. It frequently leads to more issues. New cars come with many advanced features. While things like fancy screens, smart technology, and tech gadgets may seem appealing, a lot of them end up not functioning as expected. They often break down, cause confusion, and are expensive to repair. As a result, people have started avoiding these complicated features. They prefer cars that are reliable and don't require frequent repairs. One of the main reasons for the collapse is the loss of trust. People are disappointed in car companies because they were promised reliable cars but instead got expensive and unreliable ones. As a result, they are choosing to stop buying from them. Even flashy advertisements or discounts cannot repair the trust that has been lost. This collapse is significant because it's not just about dealerships shutting down, but the entire industry being forced to confront its errors. The market's message with this collapse is that things need to change. The car industry strayed from meeting customers' true needs. Communities are finding it difficult to adjust to the change of losing a dealership, which feels like losing a neighbor. However, people are finding ways to adapt, such as using car-sharing services and public transport more frequently. Families are also able to live with fewer cars thanks to remote work. Consequently, the traditional car-dependent lifestyle is slowly declining. The companies that make it through this difficult time will be the ones who grasp the changes happening in the world. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.